I've already done a review of the new Soul-Ride trucks where I compared them with the Carver C5 and the Yao Legacy trucks because those three are in the same category as transition surf skates for traditional skateboarders. So if you haven't seen that review, then click the link in the video above to watch that. But in that video, the truck breakdowns and modifications got buried at the end of the video. So I wanted to do just a video alone where I show you how to take apart the Soul-Ride as well as how to modify and customize it. So the Soul-Ride surf skate truck is a very unique design. It's what's called a single axis system, which means it only has one axis of rotation. So you can see how this is really just going back and forth, and that's the only movement that we have on this. And so what that means is to take it apart, all we have to do is remove this kingpin nut. And our nut will come off. And then we will take our truck hanger off, and it's kind of tight in there. You kind of have to jiggle it loose. And up here you're going to notice a washer, or it's just like a speed ring like you see on wheel bearings, because this up here is a bearing set just like you'll see in traditional wheel bearings. And so that speed ring goes right on the top of that. And then we flip this truck hanger over, and here's what we're looking at. We've got this unique shape here. And we've got this piece here, which is actually another bearing set. You'll see that these can spin freely. So that gives us our spinning motion there. Then inside here, we have a metal piece. And this is what they call their pivot brake insert. And what this does is it limits the range of motion on that truck to prevent wheel bite. Soul-Ride has a few different models. This is the model that's most like a traditional skateboard, and you'll see how it has very thin risers, which makes it very low to the ground. And so for this model, the pivot brake insert comes standard, already installed to prevent wheel bite. But on some of their other models that have the higher risers that are more off the ground that allow for a wider range of motion, that pivot brake insert is not in there. I mean, they include it. You get it in the package when you buy it, but it's not already installed. So you actually will get a wider range of motion out of this without that pivot brake insert. So the first way to modify your Soul-Ride is to use this pivot brake insert, and you can insert it if you want to limit your range of motion to prevent wheel bite, or you can remove it, which gives you a much wider range of motion. But if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that you have higher riser pads, because if you were to remove this pivot brake insert on this model with the low riser pads, you're definitely going to get wheel bite. In fact, let me just show you this. Let me put this back together without that pivot brake insert. Okay, so here we have that pivot brake insert removed, and you're going to see that that gives you too much range of motion on a low riser, which is going to give you wheel bite. Okay, so we're back inside the Soul-Ride here, and deeper inside, below that pivot brake insert, is their custom proprietary bushing that looks like this. You'll see how one side has these four protruding pieces, the other side is flat. So the next way to modify the Soul-Ride is by replacing the bushing. So obviously you have to use their proprietary bushings, but they include four bushings. This green is the softest at 65A, and this is what comes stock with the Soul-Ride. The purple is 72A durometer, the red is 78A, and then the blue is the hardest at 86A durometer. I have tried all of these bushings, and even at my weight, I'm almost 200 pounds, so at my heavier weight, you'd think that I'd probably want one of these harder ones, but I actually prefer the loosest, softest 65A over all of these, but that's something that you can play with. So to put this back together, we're going to just take our bushing. We're going to make sure that those four protruding pieces are upside down, facing downward this way. It's going to slide right in there. And since we're using the model with the low risers, I'm definitely going to use my pivot brake insert. That's going to just slide in right there. Followed by this lower set of bearings. And you're going to see how this has a rounded edge and a flat edge. And you want to make sure that that rounded edge goes down. It sits right into that groove like so. Then we'll take our truck hanger, and that's going to slide down there like so. And then we'll take our speed ring or washer, put it over the top of the kingpin, followed by our kingpin nut, and then just tighten this down. And we want to make sure that that is snug without being too tight, so we don't want to smash those bearings. And that is our Soul-Ride. That's it.